You're listening to Blue Collar CEO, the podcast that's all about helping you build a better, more profitable, and more sustainable home service business. Each week, we'll cover a different topic that will help enable your company to move forward to success. And here's your host, Ryan Redding.
What is up, Blue Collar CEOs? It's Ryan, and I'm getting ready to have a really fun, engaging conversation with Jake Giffin. Jake is the founder of Halo Home Services. They specialize in termite control in sunny Southern California. This guy is a beast with sales, with people development. We're going to be talking about all kinds of things, from monkeys to like big tech companies. So I really want you to dial in, especially if you're trying to start your business, if you're trying to get your heads around how do you hire people, how do you allocate cash reserves. There's just a lot that we're going to get into, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. Let's introduce you to Jake. All right, Jake, I am really glad we were able to nail you down and get you here, because I know you're busy. You have a lot going on. But before we hop in, because I'm really excited to have this conversation, for those who don't yet know who you are, let's start there. Who are you? What do you do?
I've been in the termite pest control industry, home services industry now since 2005. I was instrumental in some part at the beginning of my career making orange oil popular. If you guys kind of know what orange oil is in Southern California. I don't know if they sell it everywhere else, but
I'm in Oklahoma. I don't know what you're talking about. What is orange oil?
Orange oil is like a green holistic kind of termite treatment, right? So
hold on. So you call it orange oil, but it's green. I'm already lost.
It's orange. It's orange oil. Green is like the environmental.
Oh,
it's safe.
Like
it smells nice.
Green.
Yeah, eco-friendly green. So orange oil is a processed oil from orange rinds, and we used it to kill termites. So that was fun. I was instrumental in kind of bringing that up and making that popular here in Southern California. Now a lot of people use it. And through my career since 2005 to now, I've helped take 2 companies to the top 100 in the nation, mostly through sales, coaching, business development, that kind of stuff. And then 7 years ago, I started Halo Home Services. Predominantly, I started Halo Home Services. I started this company. I had no desire at all to even own a termite company. I had none, zero,
really?
No. And then there was a company a local company here that I helped. When I started with him in 2013, he was doing maybe $150,000 a month, maybe $100,000 a month. And over 3 years, we got him to the top 100 in the nation. And then I went out on my my anniversary, my 20th wedding anniversary, came home and he fired me. So Halo was born that day. I thought, well, I'm not going to keep doing this for people, and just to be met with, getting fired. So I thought, I might as well start my own company and do it for myself. And that way, if it fails, then fine. But I know I'm not going to fire myself, right? So,
well, you should probably at some point fire yourself.
I'm hoping to work my way out of the business. Or
there
at least,
it is. That's probably the better way to say it.
Yeah, I'll always have some hand in it. When it gets to probably $4 or $5 million a year, I'll put a general manager in it, and then I'll manage him. And I'm already starting to go off and do other things. I'm already starting to do consulting and coaching work individually and for business owners, stuff like that. So that's really where my heart is. That's kind of where I started. I was going to do that 8 years ago. And I was kind of putting the pieces together to do that kind of coaching, consulting work then. But then I got fired. And so the only thing I had really that I knew of how to make money was termites, pest control, home services, some kind of service business, right? So, and since I understand this business, I thought, all right, well, I got to provide for the family. I'm going to do this business. And it kind of worked out in a sense that I know what this business looks like from like $100,000 a month to $1.2 million a month. and the pitfalls and the challenges and the changes in structure. I kind of understand that part, but I lacked a certain, I lacked the understanding. I didn't know what it was to start a company like this. And so I thought at very least I start this company, I'll scale it and then install a manager or sell it or whatever, and then go off and do what I really get excited about, which is helping other people. And at least I'll have accumulated the knowledge of what a startup, what the stresses of the startup are, right?
What
so
stresses do you refer? What stresses possibly exist?
Oh, quit it. It's your marketing company. Was your marketing company easy to start?
Honestly, yeah. Yeah, it totally but it was because it was accidental. Like it wasn't like, this is what I'm gonna do. It's kind of like, I'll do this and help this person out. I'll do this and help this person out. And one day it's shit. Whoops. This is bigger than I thought it was gonna be.
Right. Yeah, it was a little different for me because I had always been embedded in companies that had a history, that wanted to scale, wanted to grow, but maybe they were too close to the action to understand how to do it. And so really when I go in and help, work for a company, it was just tweaking like little things. They were always dying by like 1,000 cuts. And you just Band-Aid up the cut and you seal it up and you coach through it and you train new people or you hire, quality other people to make the culture good. And then you can scale. It's not really that hard, but when you start your own company, then it's your own company. It's like capital. You have to have the capital to start, and you're always a little insecure about whether or not you're going to be able to generate the leads or not. Leads are the key, right? I mean, I'm a sales guy. I've been doing sales training for 20 years. And I can tell you, I mean, it's like, and even I was like, well, if I can get the leads, I know I can close them. It's not a big deal. But I didn't know if I could generate the leads or not. And so when the leads started coming in, I was pretty stoked. But up until then, I was freaking out.
I think a lot of people that way. And I think there's other people who are like, on the other side of that. Cool, the leads are in the door. Now what? Like the operations is usually the part that gets like neglected. And I don't know if you know this, because a lot of people don't. My dad had a pest control business, gosh, going back to the 80s. Forever. And he so I'm familiar enough with the industry to kind of know like the grind, especially like in a startup that never could quite like get critical mass. But his failure honestly was, I hope he's not listening. Sorry, dude.
With due respect,
because this is awkward. Yeah, with all due respect. Once this is like 80s, right? So like pre-internet. And at that day, like all you do is get a giant yellow page ad in the biggest section you can. And like, you'll be just fine. The phone's going to ring.
Yeah.
Once the internet became a thing, like in the 90s, and AOL came out and everyone's like spending their time on AOL Instant Messenger and you've got mail. He could not adapt the business to adjust with like the way customers expected, with the way employees expected, the way with like operations in general expected. He just kind of thought, well, I'm just going to keep doing the phone book. And that whole like world just died on him.
Yeah.
Like it just stopped.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you learn that kind of, it's a sales and marketing game. The service business, if you had to chunk it down into the two main things, it's sales and it's marketing. And it's mostly even then it's marketing. Because you can generate, if I generate 100 leads today and send out a chimpanzee, he's going to close 20 deals. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a certain number of those people who, because they read our reviews or because they did a little bit of homework and because they like chimpanzees, the animal is going to close 20 leads.
I mean, that's like the overlap of Venn diagram is going to be so perfect. Like people are like, you have excellent reviews. I love your chimps. Take my money. Like that's like totally the sweet spot, of like the perfect customer mix.
It's the perfect customer mix. So it doesn't matter. Like marketing marketing is really, that's the game. And to the extent that you can have good, high quality salespeople and do high quality work, and then you close more of those deals, then that's even better. But certain leads are going to close no matter who you send out there almost. So
yeah, to your point, it's some things like it doesn't matter how good you are or bad you are. It's just a numbers game. Like you just got to have the ops. Once you get the ops, like cool, go in. The math is going to do itself.
Yeah, and that's I think what a lot of people don't understand when they start venturing out on their own into a service business. They're a disgruntled technician or an inspector, or some kind of an employee at a company, and maybe the manager or the owner is a jerk, and they go, well, why do I want to work for this guy? I'll just start my own company, and they're thinking it's easy, and the very thing that they don't have any awareness of, other than they don't even know how to run a company. They certainly don't know how to generate leads. And so, but if they could generate leads, anybody can sell work if you see enough people. I mean, we compete with people all the time that are, in the termite business, it's kind of, especially here in Southern California, it's very kind of performance oriented. There's 100 companies that'll show up and spend 10 or 15 minutes at your house and give you a bid as to how much treatment's going to be. And then there's my guys. They're going to spend an hour and a half on the property at least, looking everywhere, doing a detailed diagram, identifying everything there is to identify on the property. And they're going to sit down with you at a dinner table or at the couch or whatever, and they're going to go over all of your options.
Yeah.
So while the other companies will close deals, probably based on price, not on value, they can survive, but it doesn't do a lot of good. I mean, I don't know what the point of that was, but other than to say that, starting a business is hard,
Yes, it does. It's funny. I was talking to someone yesterday, and the comment was made, if they knew in their 40s what they were getting into in their 20s, right, you probably wouldn't do it. Like, you just probably be like, this shit's too hard. Like, I'm like, I sleep too much. I like my weekends too much. I want to like clock off. Because like anyone who owns a business carries that weight. And I remember like I'm sure you feel the same way, but like for me, like when I first started hiring employees, I like those first like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 employees, I felt this overwhelming like weight of like obligation to their families.
Always. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh shit, these people, I don't just need them to do work. They're counting on me now. Like I have to come through for them. They're doing their kitchen budgets based on my work to them. Like, okay, this is real now. It's a whole different level of stress.
Well, and but it's a great level of stress to recognize, because if you're gonna have a service company, it's not just about hiring people, because you can hire a whole slew of people that can do the work. They're just not maybe necessarily quality people. But it's a good mindset to have, because we've all known the guy who or the girl who starts a company and treats employees like crap. They're just tools to get work done, bring the money in, and if you don't like it, get the hell out, whatever. But there's a trust relationship that we have between ourselves and the employees. We have to trust that the employees are going to take their work seriously, be there on time, treat the customers with respect and dignity, and execute work in a way that warrants some kind of feedback. You're doing a great job, 5-star review, whatever. And then at the same time, they're trusting us that we know what we're doing to scale the business and to provide long-term growth opportunities. They're not going to be technicians or inspectors or office personnel forever. Everybody I've met always wants some kind of path, upward mobility, what we used to call it in the 90s, right? Some kind of upward mobility.
Yeah.
And if they don't believe that you have the ability to provide that for them, they'll leave and they'll go somewhere else that can provide that. And so there's a trust kind of feedback loop that happens between you and your employees and the employees and you. And as long as that trust is intact, going both directions, then you have kind of the magic ingredient, what you need to do to scale your business, because they'll stay and trust you and you'll push them and they'll respect it. It's kind of just, it works out great like that. I mean, you have to have the right people for that, obviously. You can't have tweakers that you just pulled out of the alley and said, hey man, you want a job? They're not going to work out great. But, the guys who do have characters, or the ladies that do have character, are going to see what you do, hopefully, and go, okay, I know that in a few years, this company is going to be bigger and I'm going to be managing this department, or I'm going to manage that department. Or long-term, what we're planning here at Halo in probably 5 to 6 years, start franchising. So maybe they want to be a franchisee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super competent team members, employees want, at some point, some of them want to start their own businesses. And so why not help them do that and keep it in the brand?
Well, that's totally an argument that a lot of like business coaches and like strategists would make, right? Of, you can have people who like follow the instructions, do this process, like do the things. And those people can make exceptionally loyal employees forever.
Yep.
But if you're a really good organization, you're going to attract people who are hungry and driven and smart and ambitious. And you have two options at this point. You can say, I want these people, and that you're going to like building them and training them, and they're going to go and do their own thing because they're hungry, they're smart, they're driven, they're ambitious. Yep. Or you give them the capability to leverage those same attributes for you.
Yep.
Like, here, you're opening up our Phoenix office. Congratulations.
Right.
Like, those people would jump at the chance to do that. And that is, those people are usually very high value, high potential people to have on your team.
Right. And if you can take them under your wing a little bit and along the way explain kind of what it was like to start the company in the first place. There's always surprises. Like, I had no clue. I knew business development, marketing, sales. So I knew how to put a program together, package it to make it look pretty, and then teach salespeople how to sell it at a premium rate. That helped out a lot. But I hadn't a clue as to how workers' comp was calculated, how liability insurance was calculated. And I had no idea in regards to payroll tax. So I didn't learn that stuff until I started Halo. And then I'm going, what the hell is payroll tax? I got to pay tax on what I pay the employees. What kind of craziness is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
if you want to have real fun, like do the franchise thing, or have like we have employees in, I don't know, 20 states. You get to do that 20 different times.
Oh yeah.
Every state's got their own little nonsense to jump through. It sucks.
So much fun. Don't you have CPAs for that? I mean, you have like an accountant that's familiar with all the state laws.
So when you get into like the CPA stuff, it's a little bit different because, this is a little bit nerdy. So there's like managerial accounting CPAs, and they kind of like, here's the information you need to make like managerial decisions. Cool.
Right.
We have like tax CPAs, and that's exactly what they do, is like, hey, we're going to minimize your tax burden. Cool. The rest in the middle, like you're trying to like find these people who like can understand just enough what they need to know for most states.
Yeah, right,
but they usually know the one that they live in.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a little bit trickier to be like, cool, one CPA can do all the things. Like that's probably a really shitty CPA.
Oh, that's probably where I've been missing the mark right there. Cause I'm expecting my CPA to give me some input, and he's just, hey, I'm a numbers guy, bro.
Yeah. It's a very different skill set. And honestly, to be fair, I thought the same thing you did. Like, I thought it's a CPA. Like, what? Tell me what you see, you wise one. Yeah. It wasn't until I was working on my MBA where like you had to do a whole finance piece. Like, so there's a whole finance and accounting and all this stuff. And that was the first time I realized that, there's specializations within accounting. that people like can narrow in on. And it sounds so obvious to say it out loud, but if you're on the outside, you have no idea.
I mean, I hadn't
Right.
even really thought of it until this moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Most people wouldn't. So yeah, you just find the people that with the type of specialization that you need.
Yeah.
Let them do that thing. Okay.
See, that makes sense. I've been expecting too much from my guy. I mean, he's a good guy, good friend of mine. But he knows his numbers.
This is kind of a theme though with you, which before we hit record was this idea of like, you made this comment of like, you're a really shitty manager, but you're a really great coach.
Yeah.
Right. And the first idea that came to mind is like, we'll operate in your strengths, play to your strengths. Like nobody will know what you suck at until you show them that you suck at this thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the weird metaphor I always have for this is like, like you go to a bar and there's like a cover band. You're like, yeah, this Zeppelin song is kicking. And then the guy goes up to play a guitar solo and you're like, oh bro, stop. Like when he's not doing something he can't do, you assume he can. Like, it's like, yeah. And then as soon as he tells you, nope, I can't, you're like, oh, this whole band sucks.
Yeah. Right.
You do it with like knowing like this is my managerial preferences. I suck at managing, but I'm great at coaching. Your CPAs are going to have the same thing, right? Like let them play to the strengths. Don't let them do their weakness. It's going to be true of sales.
Smart.
You know what I mean? Like let this guy kicks ass on this type of sales. This chimp kicks ass on this type of sales. Let the chimp do the thing the chimp does well.
Yeah, that's a great point because I hadn't thought about that. And when I think about augmenting my accounting team, firm, whatever, right? I feel guilty. Like, oh man, I don't want him to think I'm cheating on him, right? No. So I didn't think about he knows he's probably really good at doing what he does.
Yeah.
I didn't think about, he's not going to be offended if I go get somebody who's really good at something that I need, some gaps that I need filled in.
Yeah.
That's
the trick. It's like for me, I've had to get them into the same meeting, like usually 2 or 3 times a year, just so they can compare notes. Because there's sometimes where one of the accountants wants to start thinking about that the other's expertise would benefit.
Oh yeah. That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea.
So it's kind of annoying to get white collar people together like that, but it's helpful if they all know like, hey, this just makes everyone's life so much easier.
For sure. I mean, and it's kind of like anything else. Like if you have a marketing guy and you got a general manager, you got a sales manager, you got different people. It helps get them in the room at the same time at some level and go, okay, here's the strategy for 2023. Here are the campaigns that we're going to lean into in the summertime and in the spring. Let's have ideas, shoot. And then getting everybody on the same page makes sense. You don't want to have, the sales guys, the sales managers teaching the sales guys different things than what we're rolling out in the marketing. That would be rough.
Yeah. And then the other side of it is like probably the evil shadow of that is I think a lot of guys will lean on like death by meeting. Everything needs a meeting. Everything needs a conversation.
Oh, no.
Everyone needs to be on Slack for all the conversation. And you're like, no. I know what I've got. I got the instructions. I know where we're going. Leave me alone. I can do this.
I was in,
and you don't have to like tell someone,
I was in a similar situation to that before things went online, like 2006, 2007. It was just like, hey, got a meeting. You tell your wife you have a meeting like every day. Like, you had another meeting?
Yeah.
You guys can't figure this shit out like on Monday? Just figure it out on Monday and make it happen. What are you guys meeting every day for? Well, there's golf involved, and it's a golf meeting.
There's golf. There's the beer doesn't drink itself.
Yeah, the beer doesn't drink itself.
It really doesn't. So now that we know that beer and chimps are an effective part of your like scaling strategy, and we know that you suck at managing people, but you're good at coaching. How is it that you think about like in essence, like a lot of this comes down to like just people. Like people seems to be a common theme, a common element. How important is it to you to like always be developing, training, resourcing the people who work for Halo?
Yeah, super great. I mean, So several years ago, I kind of developed, when I was working for other companies, I kind of developed this. You have your minimum daily behaviors, right? There's certain things that there's certain standards that you have to hit. It's just your job to hit them. That's what you're getting paid to do. You're getting paid to be on time. You're getting paid to do good work. You're getting paid to be clean, keep your work, your truck clean. You're getting paid for that stuff. That's what you're getting paid to do. And that is the middle line that I draw. So I have a kind of a horizontal line, then I got a vertical line in the middle. The vertical line in the middle is just the standard. If you fall on the left-hand side of that line, then I have to manage you, right? That means I have to show up on the job site to see if your truck is clean, to see if you're on time, to see if you're treating customers with respect. And if I have to do that, I hate myself and I don't like doing that. So, right, I just don't like doing that. I don't like writing people up. I don't like chasing them down. If I can't trust you to do your job, then you genuinely don't belong here. But if you're on the right-hand side of that line, then future's whatever you want it to be, right? If you want to have a career here, I'm going to do whatever I can to build you a career here. And if you want a career outside my industry, I'll do whatever I can to help you go that direction too. It's the people quality. I learned something. We talked about Hilti earlier. Great tool company, German tool company, has big reach here in the States. And getting to work with them was like a 3-month process. It was 3 or 4 interviews for a tool company. Just like, come on, bro. Look, I'm a sales guy. I know tools. Let's just put me in a store. Give me something to sell and let me go. Right? That's how you would think.
Right.
But they're like, nah, man, we have a process. And their philosophy was hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what I carry now. I carry that here with Halo, and, I've carried it to other places, but here at Halo, we really try to plan ahead contingencies so that we're not hiring as a reaction to something. Because if you're having to recruit as a reaction to an immediate spike in business, or one of your other guys gets hurt and you need production done, bills need to get paid. That's when you make the mistakes. You hire the tweaker that just got out of rehab and he's like, no, bro, I'm super clean. I can do it, man. I know how to do it. And then he falls off a 2-story ladder and you're like, what the hell? He pees dirty for, meth. And you're like, what? And so if you can keep yourself from doing that, plan ahead, the contingencies, and then hire slow. Weed them. It's a little harder to do like this year for some reason. It's just not a lot of people are wanting to do physical work. But
yeah, I think the whole hiring thing, it's interesting because from like an economic standpoint, like the argument is like, hey, anyone who wants a job has a job, right? There's a whole lot of people who are just fine, but there's also a whole lot of companies who are like, I need more, like I just need more and I need better.
Yeah, right.
And it's funny because I feel like probably more and more, I don't think this is going to change. I think more and more the companies are going to have to start like growing their own talent versus hiring their talent, which takes what you're saying out and just stretches the timeline out for a year or two. Because instead of it being a month to proficiency, like, hey, sales, we're just going to teach you tools now. Now it's like, no, we're teaching you industry. We're teaching you sales. We're getting you certifications. We're doing it might be a year or two before they have any positive impact on the business. Right.
Which would be super ideal if you can manage it in your budget. Because it tends to be, it's super expensive. You get a guy that doesn't have a license and you got to take him from 0.0 to being a stellar technician, for instance. That's hard to do. And there's no guarantee that if you don't put in, if there's no guarantee that when you put in the 6 months or a year of just hard, expensive training and time and coaching and all that he's not going to just eventually say, you know what, this isn't for me. Thanks. And you go, oh, crap, like this. So
but that's the whole, is it Richard Branson? Is he the one who's like, what happens if you you treat your people so good that they leave. And he's like, what happens if you don't treat them well and they stay? Like, it's kind of that sort of argument, right? So sure, you can invest and pour into them, which there's tech companies that will do this whole thing where I'm gonna mess it up, but like they will do like a 30, 60, 90-day buyout. They will essentially give you a cash bonus if you walk away from the business within 90 days.
That's right. Yeah.
For exactly the reason
I think Zappos was like that.
Oh, it is Zappos. It is.
Yeah.
Where that's the idea is like, hey, they don't want to spend a year training you and building you because they know you're not going to be proficient even then. But if they can say, here's a fraction of the cash equivalent that we would invest into you over that year, take it and leave if you're done.
Right.
Hey, brilliant.
Yeah. If you have, if you have a bank account if your cash flow is really solid and you got a good savings account that you can take $10,000 and potentially more than that, if you're looking at maybe taking a year to train a guy adequately, if you got $50,000 that you can set on fire, then that's great. Like, cause then you can say, okay, we can take the time. But if you're like a lot of small businesses, if you're coming through, like we're coming through the end of our slow season right now, where we've done a lot of rodent exclusions, right? We do a lot of things during the winter time that keep the bills paid, but they're low margin jobs. So, during the spring, summer, right before Thanksgiving, termites are, we go crazy with termites. We go into winter time with a stack of cash in the bank. And then it's like, okay, how are we going to manage the off-season services that are going to keep the lights on? And are we going to deplete that reserve? And, sometimes hiring beginners is not always possible for a small company. They got to go with the guys that have, the licenses already and hopefully don't have too bad a habit.
Yeah. I mean, and you're not wrong, right? When you have fewer resources, you have fewer options. I mean, it's kind of what it comes down to. But like guys who do HVAC, they're kind of in the same hyper seasonal boat, right? Where if you don't do HVAC, you wouldn't think about this, but nobody cares about their air conditioner in February.
Nobody. Yeah, right.
No single person in the world cares about it, unless you're in the Southern Hemisphere. But science aside, the point is, it's just one of those things like you have to be able to manage your cash flow well if you're in that industry, or else you die.
Right.
Like full stop, because you got 3, 4, 5 months to make money, and then it's over. But yeah, cash flow management, like that financial discipline that you see the money in the bank, don't touch it. Don't go buy a boat. Don't buy a car. Don't go buy a cool motorcycle or watch even buying like.
Just move it.
You need
put it off. Yeah. Don't look at it. I have separate accounts. I just take the money and I move it to somewhere I can't see it.
Do you do profit first? That's what it sounds like.
I do profit first. Yeah. Well, I do profit first in some kind of remedial form. I don't have all the folders that they talk about in profit first, but I have, I look at
you do the chimpanzee entry level.
Yeah, that's right. First. Yeah. So I look at the deposits every morning and I take out 10% of the deposits and I put it into an account called profits.
Okay.
And I don't.
Okay.
And I do my best not to touch it, but that's not always the case. He would probably kick me for touching the profits. He would stop touching it, but every once in a while you go.
It's tricky.
Yeah, I mean, you get
it's tricky.
You get vehicles that blow up or something that happens, and you don't have the money in one account. You're gonna have to pull out somewhere, get the vehicle fixed. I mean, not that type, but it was like it's always that challenge of just moving it off so you don't see it. But
yeah, the point, yeah. And then the other, when you get really smart, like the guys that I really respect a lot are when they refuse to let their cash balances get above like a certain run rate. Yeah. Like, so let's just say they never want more than 3 months of cash reserves on hand.
Right.
Because what they find is that if it's more than 3 months, that money is costing the money sitting in an account.
Right.
Right. They could put it to use doing anything else, any number of other things, and they would get a better return if it's more than 90 days. If it's less than 90 days, like, nope, you need your hands on that stuff.
Yeah. Right.
And every business has its own like sort of thresholds as far as like what their tolerance is on how much cash they need on hand. But
90 days is ideal. I mean, if you can have a 90-day reserve, that's a nice that's a nice spot to be in, because, you can ride out just about any kind of season, 3-month season, biting your nails. If a meteor hit Southern California or something, and we could ride out, the trauma of it for a year, and in hopes that termites come back, or, something like that.
Do you really fear the extinction of termites from a mass exodus or mass extinction event?
No, but
I've seen that movie.
Yeah,
I know how that movie ends.
My suspicion is that if a meteor hit Southern California, people would be less interested in spending money on their termite problem. So it's not really the termites going extinct. It depends on
how bad the termite problem is, I guess. Like
well, there. I mean, we keep. It's interesting in this particular business, because while we want to save houses and protect homeowners, that's our mantra here. But while we want to save homes, there's also the nice aspect of it that there's some job security, in the sense that the termites will always be. And there's for the last decade been rumors of a Formosan species of termite that was in like San Diego and La Cañada. That if those would take off, like if Formosan termites would, take off, then, they'll level a house in a year. So they're really super aggressive. And so if they took off, then business would be really great. But then, then you have something eating a bunch of houses, and that's not good. So it's a weird thing to be in a business where you're preying on the pain of somebody else almost, It sucks.
But that's a lot. This sounds awful. This is a lot of the service industry.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Like you were directly addressing pain. Look, okay. If you're a chiropractor, I'm sorry. Like I've got a close friend who's a chiropractor, but that's what they do, right? Oh, your back hurts. That sucks. You could take Tylenol, or you can go back every day for 6 months and maybe it'll get better.
Right. Come in 3 times a week for 6 months and, you'll straighten it out.
I mean, that's kind of how it is.
Yeah. It's a pain sale for sure. It's not like a pleasure sale. It's not a Ferrari.
You're saying that people exterminating termites is not like a Ferrari?
It's not like it's a pain sale, right? So it's like a service business is a pain sale. It's like, you're in pain. I can solve the pain. A Ferrari is like a pleasure sale. So only 2 reasons people buy anything is to either give themselves pleasure or to avoid pain. And so the Ferrari gives yourself pleasure. It's a status symbol. It's a midlife crisis, whatever it is. It gives you some pleasure. Termite work is pain. You have a bug eating your house. Do you want them to keep eating your house, or do you want them to stop? Because I can get them to stop.
Can you just ask nicely and not spend the money?
No. Yeah, no.
Well,
right. Skillful execution by hand is kind of what we do, but that's our mantra anyway here. So,
Jake, I love that you were able to come on, because obviously, 1, you're a super cool dude, but 2, like, you're doing really great work. I'm really excited to see where Halo Home Services goes. If somebody is curious to learn more about you, pick your brain about how you're growing your business, is there a way you want people to hit you up?
They can go to halohomeservices.com. They can follow. They can get on me there, or they can hit me up at the Jake Giffin on Instagram or LinkedIn.
Okay.
Send me a
I'll get
send
that
me a
stuff
DM or something.
Actually, I'm gonna send you a LinkedIn right now. Then you're gonna regret saying that. All right, dude. It was awesome having you on. I appreciate everything you've done. Congrats on the success, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for you, man. Thanks for stopping by.
It was a pleasure talking to you, Ryan. Have a great day.
This episode was hosted by Ryan Redding, author of the book on digital marketing for plumbing and HVAC contractors, and founder of Leveragey, the digital marketing solution for serious home service companies. You can subscribe to Blue Collar CEO on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Visit us online at BlueCollar.CEO and find us on Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week with another awesome episode. See you soon.